Imagine you're in New York and it's Christmas.
Netflix's latest holiday series, Dash and Lily, is a romantic adventure through New York City, which follows teens Dash and Lily as they get to know each other through dares passed back and forth in a red notebook. It is based on the young adult series Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. The show consists of 8 episodes and premiered on November 10th, 2020. Today, we are going to share with you some things you didn't know about Netflix Dash and Lily. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We are giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice, so be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter this giveaway. It's really that simple. To start this video off, let's talk about the cast and crew. The romantic comedy streaming television series showrunner is Joe Trax. The executive producer is Sean Levy. The costume designer is Christina Spiridakis, and the music supervisor is Alexandra Patsivas. Austin Abrams and Midori Francis star as the popular characters. Joe Trax is a writer and producer who is known for the 2017 film A Series of Unfortunate Events and the 2013 film Epic. Sean Levy is a Canadian film director, producer, and actor whose credits as a director include Big Fat Liar, Cheaper by the Dozen, The Night at the Museum series, and Stranger Things. Christina Spiridakis has built her career as the assistant costume designer on shows such as Saturday Night Live, Orange is the New Black, Limitless, Gotham, Mr. Robot, and Ange Lee's Gemini Man. Most recently, she was also the costume designer for Season 4 of High Maintenance, a critically acclaimed show on HBO. Alexandra Patsivas is a music supervisor who has worked on over 60 movies and television shows, including The Twilight Saga, The OC, Grey's Anatomy, and Gossip Girls. Austin Abrams was raised in Florida by his parents, Lori and Bradley, who are both doctors. He is of Jewish descent, and Midori Francis is from Rumson, New Jersey, and is of Japanese descent on her father's side. Secondly, the filming location. The series was filmed on location in New York City during the fall and winter of 2019. When the showrunner, Joe Trax, started working on the series, he knew that filming in New York City was the only option. In an interview with The Insider, he said, "As much as Dash and Lily are falling in love with each other, in reality, they're not together very much in the show. So they're falling in love with each other by falling in love with New York." The production crew were committed to ensuring the locations were authentic. They had a giant map of the city in the writer's room and put pins on all the locations from the book. Executive producer Sean Levy added, "It was always essential. We never considered filming this anywhere but New York because we didn't want to cheat. We wanted authenticity to the show so that the backdrop of this romantic show could also feel real." Here's a fact about the show that may surprise a lot of people. Although Dash and Lily was filmed in winter, most of the snow shown on it is fake. It was not very snowy during the time when the show was filmed, so they had to improvise and be creative with their use of fake snow and framing of shots. Sean Levy said, "There were times where if I were even 1 millimeter wider on the lens, you would see that there was not even one single flake of snow on the ground in New York City," he explained. So a lot of that was fakery, but it was essential to pull it off because that romantic New York City holiday time backdrop is a character in itself. The real band used in the show. The band who played the Chalabak Boys featured real musicians from New York City. In one of the episodes of Dash and Lily, Lily accepts the dare to go to the Chalabak Boys concert, and that scene features a performance by real klezmer rock band called Gollum, who are based in New York City. The music producer said that Annette Ezekiel Kogan and her band were just delightful to work with, and Tony Momoyne produced the tracks as a special bonus. Next, we have a fact about a piece of costume. Dash's blue peacoat, which is very much a part of his character, was actually a vintage naval coat. When it came to finding the ideal peacoat to match Dash's personality, the costume designer Christina Spiridakis knew it had to be vintage. They tried so many coats to find the perfect one for Dash, but kept coming back to the real vintage naval peacoat because modern coats felt too forced. Dash and Lily made history in New York. Dash and Lily got permission to film a scene at the Morgan Library and Museum, which reportedly has not happened in decades. Throughout the show, the characters visit well-known and iconic places like the Strand, the Morgan Library and Museum, and the Alice in Wonderland sculpture in Central Park. When Joe Trax was asked about how the team working on Dash and Lily managed to get access to all those iconic New York landmarks for filming, he gave credit to his locations team and the show's commitment to portraying an authentic version of the city. He was told that the Morgan hadn't been open for filming since the 1981 Oscar-nominated film Ragtime was shot there. They let us in and opened their arms and their doors for us. People who saw the scripts saw that we presented not only an authentic version of New York, but also a version that emphasized what's beautiful, magical, and romantic about these places. More about the fashion. Finding the perfect wardrobes for Dash and Lily was a huge part of their character development, and most of the costumes for Dash and Lily were sourced through vintage shops. Christina Spiridakis said, "Both Dash and Lily are characters who are purposely not mainstream in their behavior, their personalities, and definitely not in their clothing choice. Dash is definitely a person who believes that older is better. His vintage sweaters and other costume pieces were always quality pieces that last and show their age with pride." She also said, "For Lily, she makes her own clothing, so we would scour vintage stores in search of handmade pieces that had been doctored or changed, and things that were colorful and special and unique, like Lily herself." A fun thing about shooting in New York City. According to Joe Trax, the fun thing about shooting the show in New York City is that no one blinks an eye at anything unique or different happening. While they were shooting scenes at a coffee shop, real people who are not actors tried to order from the actor who was playing the barista. Joe said, "So we were filming at a coffee shop with all of our cast and crew there, but people would still walk in and order with our fake barista. They were very confused when they found out they were talking to an actor." Not all the costumes were sourced from shops. The character Lily's more unique costume pieces were handcrafted by the costume designer Christina Spiridakis. She has made certain items for every project she had worked on, and she said it was especially fun for her to take on a series with a character like Lily, who makes her own clothes. "I truly could not help myself. I went craft crazy," she said. "My team calls them Christina Crafts, and there are many on Dash and Lily." The designer said she handcrafted Lily's ornament necklace and tree sweatshirt dress, all the Macy's Elves collars and trimmings, and the show's iconic majorette boots, among other pieces. The show had a famous face as an executive producer. Nick Jonas was an executive producer and had a hand in choosing the show's music. He both helped produce Dash and Lily and even made a surprise cameo on the show. According to Joe Trax, the singer-songwriter influenced a lot of the show's musical choices. Giving the show a strong musical identity was really important to Nick. His own tastes are diverse and span many different genres, and he encouraged us to think outside the typical holiday box and mix up classic songs with contemporary choices. Getting his opinion and his seal of approval on our music meant a lot. Speaking of Nick Jonas, he was also a part of other aspects of the show. Shawn Levy first worked with Nick on the second Night at the Museum movie, and he has always known how creatively hungry and ambitious he is. Shawn Levy told The Insider, "When Nick and I decided to team up on this one, I knew that he would pull the weight and be a true collaborator. So, unsurprisingly, Nick was very helpful with the soundtrack and music suggestions, but he was equally helpful with notes on casting, ideas regarding drafts of the scripts, or edits of episodes. Nick was very hands-on with the shooting of the show, even though most of the filming was happening when he was on tour around the entire globe and doing a concert every single night. We have to talk about the changing of Dash's color palette. Color is important when it comes to bringing out characters' personalities through their costumes, especially in a holiday series with well-defined palettes. And although Dash's costume palette was muted on purpose, it did shift a little throughout the series to reflect the feelings he had for Lily. Christina Spiridakis explained, "Dash's palette is very purposely outside of Lily's world. His colors are very classic: maroon, hunter green, navy, rich browns. Their different palettes help delineate their separate stories and separate views on Christmas." She added that Dash's clothing purposefully gets more festive throughout the series, saying, "Anyone looking closely will see that little bits and hints of red really work their way into Dash's costumes as he falls for Lily." The Strand gained some customers after the show. Crew members who worked on Dash and Lily had the opportunity to live every book lover's dream of being in a bookstore after it closes. Since they spent so much time walking through the stacks of books at the Strand, crew members couldn't resist purchasing a few throughout production. They lined up to buy books after the filming ended. This wraps up the video. Thank you for watching, and please watch the other videos on our channel too.